Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back, everyone. This is lesson number 4 in the series of lessons on Bediüzzaman Said Nursi's Risale-i Nur. Previously, we have talked about some important concepts and topics in the Islamic Creed. And the fourth one, which is the topic of today's lesson, is divine destiny or fate. We have different expressions for the same thing. Divine determining, when we declare our fate, we say, Amantu billahi, we believe in Allah, ve malaikatihi, His angels, ve kutubihi, His books, ve rusulihi, His messengers, vel yevmil akhiri, the judgment day, life after death, ve bil qadari, and divine determining, hayrihi ve şerrihi, goodness and evil, min Allah Ta'ala, from God Almighty. So we openly declare this. We say we believe in Allah and we also believe in divine destiny. That is qadar. When I was doing my research on atheism and theism and Bediüzzaman's arguments for the existence of God, this topic kept coming to me. The question is usually in this format. They say, okay, you're a Muslim, you say, you declare that you believe in Allah and you believe in the divine determining, which means Allah knows everything in advance. And the Quran says everything is written in a clear book. And the atheists say, how come if God knows everything and if He has recorded everything, then we are accountable? He knows we are gonna do good. He knows we're gonna do bad. He knows we're gonna end up in heaven or hell. So He's already written this down. Why are we accountable? Why are we responsible from our acts? So, very common question. It is important. That's why it has an important chapter in Risale-i Nur. For those who want to do further reading on this, the piece we're gonna talk about today is the 26th word in the words. So you can always read the whole thing. It is, quite a few pages, but we won't be able to cover all aspects of it. So my focus today will be mainly explaining what divine determining is, what qadar is from Islamic perspective, from the point of view of Nursi, that is, Sunni point of view, and what makes human beings accountable. Yes, we accept everything is recorded in a book, and yes, we are also accountable for our actions. So if I share my screen and take you to the book itself, right, so this is 26th word, 18 pages, and this is page number 4. Don't worry, I'm not going to read all of them. I will just take you to the heart of the topic, and the curious minds can always go and read the whole chapter from beginning to end. This is page 480. And if you see my entire screen, I am using erisale.com. So there are multiple web pages where you can access to Risale-i Nur in English, but I tend to use this one. And if you want to note the link, it is erisale.com. It is the words, the first book, and it is the 26th word. That is what we are reading. So we'll straight jump into the second topic. And Nursi says, this is a good bit. This is for the clever people. It says, this is a minute and scholarly investigation addressing scholars, hopefully that is us, in particular. He basically repeats the question I mentioned. We understand there is divine destiny, everything is written in a book, and we're going to just live through it. We also know that we have our free will. We can actually choose. You know, you go shopping, you decide if you want to buy this chocolate or that chocolate, if you want to buy this fruit or that fruit, or none. So you feel and you acknowledge that as human beings, you have freedom to choose. In terminology, this free will is what we call irade cüz'i. So human beings, they have this limited power to make a selection. This is irade cüz'i, human free will. It translates into English more or less. Okay, two terms, divine determining, qadar, and human free will, irade cüz'i, power of choosing. We can choose between the two. Now, how do we reconcile this? How do we reconcile where our free will is and why human beings are ultimately accountable for their actions? So Nursi is going to mention 7 points, and I'm going to try to cover them and try to elaborate them uh, to, to make everybody understand as Muslims how we see qadar and how we see free will, irade-i cüz'i. The question is this. Nursi says, if you say, how is qadar, divine determining, the fact that Allah knows everything already and He recorded everything already, that is qadar, divine determining, how is qadar compatible with the power of choice, human free will, irade-i cüz'i? So, you know, sometimes I use the terms interchangeably. This power of choice is very clear. It is human free will. İrade-i cüz'i, the original expression. And Nursi says in 7 ways. The first one, God, you know, we in English, we just refer to Allah as God. We say God Almighty. But if you look at the Quran, yes, Quran mentions Allah, but he also refers to God with his names and attributes like Rahman, Rahim, Qadir, وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. You keep hearing attributes of Allah alongside the term Allah. This is very visible in Risale-i Nur because they follow similar styles. Nursi usually refers to God throughout Risale-i Nur, not only in this part, with his names and attributes relevant to the topic in discussion. So if you say expression like the all just and wise one, that's Allah Ta'ala. He's Al-Adl, Al-Hakim. You see, instead of referring to him as God or Allah, he just put his attributes. He says, Adil Hakim. Allah is just, Allah is wise. So, if you see any capitalized descriptive words like the all just and wise one, they are the attributes of God. So you can shorten it as God Almighty. So the all just and wise one, that is Allah, to whose wisdom and justice the universe testifies with the tongue of order and balance, gave to men a power of choice of unknown nature. So we got free will, but it is, for most people, it is slightly unknown. Yes, you decide to harm someone or you decide to help someone. You know, internet, Instagram, and Reels are full of good stories. You know, there is this animal in distress, and the fishermen, they just go catch the bird and un untangle the fishing wires, etc. They can do it, but they don't have to do it. They could just ignore and carry on. You have a lot of examples of human free will. We know we have that feeling and we exercise all the time, but we don't necessarily understand fully all the details, all the nature of human free will, but it is there. So Allah gave to man, human beings in general. These days we try to avoid, expressions like man, human beings, gender neutral, power of choice of unknown nature, which would be the means of reward and punishment. Okay, so from Islamic perspective, we know we got this free will, and we also know it is the source of reward and punishment. Because as Muslims, we know based on how we exercise our free will, if we do good, we're gonna get a reward. If we do harm, if we do bad, we get punishment. We do not know many of the numerous aspects of all just and wise, Adil Hakim. Allah is all just, Adil, and Hakim, wise. Wise is wisdom. We don't know, but all we know, we have it, and reward and punishment will come as a result of this. Our not knowing the power of choice is compatible with divine determining does not prove that it is not so. People say, "Oh, I don't understand." Well, I don't understand how iPhone works, but I know it is there. And I know what it does when I press that button. I know what it does when I flick this button. It stops ringing and it vibrates instead. I don't fully understand how it works, but I know what it does. So, free will is a bit like that. We know based on how you exercise your free will, you're going to get reward or punishment. We don't know the intricate details of it, but it doesn't mean me not knowing it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist or it's invalid. So certain things, average human being may not be able to fully understand. So this is one of those. Nonetheless, we're going to carry on and we're going to elaborate and we're going to make it more digestible, more understandable. The second point, Nursi says, of necessity, everyone perceives in himself a will and choice. He knows it through his conscience. Conscience means vicdan, something your heart is speaking to you. You know, by default, you incline towards goodness. That is your conscience, your vicdan. You cannot knowingly harm someone. That is your conscience. That's your vicdan. Good example of which, during the American Civil War, uh, it was an old-fashioned battle. These days, I'm sorry, but killing is easy because the guy operating the drone sitting like 5,000 miles away and watching some computer screen. If he's a gamer, constantly killing zombies and aliens, he wouldn't really mind just, zooming in, targeting and pressing a button. He doesn't really feel it. But in old-fashioned way, during American Civil War, the sides were facing each other and they had the muskets and rifles, so you can See, aim, and shoot. And this is a fact. I'm not making this up. During the face-to-face battle, people deliberately missed the target. You know, when Nursi says it is your vijdan, your conscience, even on the battlefield, they deliberately fire not to shoot. So that was a good example. So human default nature is being nice. So you have to make an extra effort. You have to go that extra mile to be evil. That's why finding in good old days, it was very difficult to find people to execute, the prisoners, who are sentenced to, who receive death penalty. It was very difficult. People deliberately harming someone, killing someone. So you have to make an extra effort because your factory default of your conscience, your vijdan, is on goodness. So it takes extra effort to be evil. To know the nature of beings is one thing, to know they exist is something different. There are many things which, although their existence is self-evident, we do not know their true nature. Just like free will, just like vijdan, human uh, conscience, we know it is there, but we really don't understand the true nature of it. So the power of choice, human free will, may be included among these. They exist, we acknowledge, but we don't fully understand. Everything is not restricted to what we know. Our not knowing them does not prove the things we do not know do not exist. So you don't know, but it still exists. Okay, the third one, the power of choice, human free will, irade cüz'i, is not opposed to divine determining. Yes, there is divine determining. Yes, there is human free will, and there is no conflict, no contradiction. Indeed, divine determining corroborates the power of choice. So, if you look at it, qadar also requires human free will. Because divine determining is a sort of divine knowledge is connected with our will and choice, in which case it corroborates it, does not nullify it. This is the good bit. Now let's talk about why human free will is required. We are on this planet. Let's say we're gonna live 80 years and we're gonna go to university, we're gonna get a degree, we're gonna get PhD, we're gonna start a business will fail, we're gonna get married, we're gonna get a divorce, have a first child, go marry again, get another child, wife gets sick, child goes whatever, things happening along the way. And at the age of 80, we die. This is the story of a person. And Allah wrote this down. Now, why why do we need free will? Because it is a journey of a person. And yes, it is not linear. It goes up, down, left, right. Because at every turn, there is a choice. So without someone intelligent and having a free will, it doesn't make sense because it is something very robotic, something not very original or exciting because there is no free will. So qadar requires free will. Now the next bit is also a good explanation of what is qadar and why we are accountable. Okay, we say Allah knows everything in advance and He wrote it down. How do we explain this? Nursi comes up with two beautiful explanations. I think those two are the crux of the whole concept of the divine determining. Let's say we are taking a train journey. We are going from city A to city B. I usually give in an English context because I live in Leeds and I want to go to London. It's 180 miles. I'm sitting in a train. Train sets off. I'm sitting in the train. I don't know what is 2 miles ahead. If there is a delay, if there is a tunnel, if there is a bridge. I really don't know because I'm sitting on the train. But imagine someone is flying in a helicopter, let's say 1,000 meters above you. He can look down and he can see the train moving from Leeds and it is going to turn right because from that point he can actually see what's happening 3 miles down the track. He says, okay, the truck is bending right, so the train is going to turn right and it's going to go into a tunnel, cross a bridge. There is going to be a delay because there is a bit of a snow there. From that point, he can actually see what's going to happen in 6, 10 miles. If it goes further up, if it is on an aeroplane, it can see all the way to Birmingham, I don't know, Sheffield further down. If it is a satellite, like one of those Starlink ones high up, it can actually see the whole journey. It can tell, okay, this is what's going to happen because from that point, can see everything. Because we try to understand these concepts like human beings, we cannot fit them in our mind. But God, Allah is the creator of the universe, creator of the time. He is, in a sense, above the universe and above the time. So, it's a problem for us. For him, it doesn't really matter. It is like someone looking from high up outside the time constraint as well. He knows, okay, this train will do average 80 miles an hour, gonna go do this, this, and that, and it's gonna get to London at 5 p.m. And he writes it down because he is outside 3 dimension, 4 dimension, including time. So for him, everything is there. For us, we can only see 1 mile ahead. We don't know what's going to happen 10 minutes later. The limitation is for us, not for Allah. Allah has no dimension, no time. For him, everything is there. This is one thing, how Allah knows everything. Second thing, the Quran says everything is recorded in a clear book. So, if you look at the opening verse of this chapter, it says, وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا عِندَنَا هَزَائِنُهُ وَمَا نُنَزِّلُ إِلَّا بِقَدَرٍ مَّعْلُومٍ وَكُلُّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. Allah wrote everything in that clear record. So, and we say, oh, how come we are responsible? How come we are accountable? He wrote everything. He knows everything because he's outside these dimensions. That's the first thing. And second thing is, writing something does not affect the action. Okay, so that person looking up and he can see train is coming and there is going to be delay because he can see something is happening along the track. It's going to make to London at 10 past 5. It says train is due at 10 past 5 p.m. And he puts it on the arrival screen. You see this on train stations or airports. It says arrivals. You look at the arrival screen, it says flight from Paris will land at whatever time. This is knowledge. Does the flight arrive at that time because it is written on the screen? No. It is written on the screen because the plane will arrive at that time. One is knowledge, one is action. So having it written does not actually affect the real action. So we mentioned two crucial points. Allah is outside time and dimension, and divine determining is a record. You, it doesn't happen because it's written. It is written because it's gonna happen. Now, try to simplify this. We're gonna look at original Nursian argument. So, it is the fourth and fifth point. Nursi says, Qadar, divine determining is sort of knowledge. Knowledge is dependent on the thing known. That is, it knows it as it is. The thing known, like the arrival of a plane or arrival of a train that has been displayed, the thing known is not dependent on knowledge. That is, the principles of knowledge are not fundamental so that the knowledge directs the thing known with regard to its external existence. Because it is written there, it is the action is not happening. One is knowledge, one is real existence, real action. Because the essence of the thing known, such as the arrival of a plane, and its external existence look to will and are based on power. So it is written there, but it depends on the will and the power. If the train driver suddenly says, I'm annoyed, I'm going on strike, I'm turning the train off, I'm not going. So it doesn't happen. So the person in charge has to exercise his free will and his power. Also, pre-eternity is not the tip of a chain reaching into the past, which should be considered the end point in the existence of things and a source of compulsion. Rather, pre-eternity holds the past, the present, and the future. So this is Allah holds the past, the present, and the future all at once. That's why he knows. He records. There is no compulsion. He's written it because you're gonna do it. You are not doing it because he has written it. I mean, it's a bit of a tongue twister, but if you think about it, as we said, Allah is outside our four dimension. We got X, Y, Z, and T, time. Allah is outside this. For him, everything, past, present, and future, all at once. And his knowing and writing it is not forcing you to do it. You're gonna do it. He knows it and he's recording it. That's why you are accountable. So looking at them from above like a mirror, like the helicopter or aeroplane or the Starlink satellite. Nur says it's a mirror, but it is looking from above. In which case, it is not right to imagine an end to pastime which stretches back within the sphere of contingency and call it pre-eternity, and to suppose that things enter that knowledge of pre-eternity in sequence and that oneself is outside it. To reason thus is not right. Consider the following example in order to explain this mystery. So, similar to that, aeroplane helicopter example, Nursi puts it this way. Same analogy, but different way of explaining. Suppose there is a mirror in your hand, and the area to your right is the past, and the area to your left is the future. And you have a mirror in front of you. The mirror only holds what is opposite it. You have a mirror. If you turn right, it shows what's there, but it doesn't show what's on the other side. But if you turn the mirror that way, you can see what is there, but not there. It cannot, okay, then with a movement, it holds both sides, but it cannot hold all of it. Depending on the angle of your mirror, you can see limited things around you. Uh, but it cannot hold all of it. However, however low the mirror is held, less will appear in it. And the higher it rises, the area it encompasses expands until it can hold both sides in their entirety simultaneously. It depends how high you hold your mirror. Further you go, further you can see both sides. Whatever occurs in the areas reflected in the mirror in this position cannot be said to precede or follow one another, or to conform to or oppose one another. Divine determining qadar is part of pre-eternal knowledge, and in the words of the prophetic hadith, pre-eternal knowledge is at an elevated station, which form its lofty viewpoint encompasses everything that has been and will be from pre-eternity to post-eternity. So, Hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, Allah is outside all these dimensions. He can see past, present, future all in one. We and our reasoning cannot be outside of it. We are in it. We are bound to these three dimensions, and the fourth dimension is the time. We are in those four dimensions. Allah is not bound to it, He's outside of it. We and our reasoning cannot be outside of it, so we can be like a mirror to the area of the past. So I think these two explanations, the train journey and looking down at the train journey, and also recording what time it's going to arrive, is the two key aspects of divine determining explained in this chapter. Obviously, I urge everyone to revisit it, read it from beginning till end, because when I speak to people, I always keep telling them the same thing. Look, it's been only 30, 40 minutes. There is only so much I can fit in it, and there is only so much I understand. I am not the absolute authority on this. You read it, you think about it, you're gonna come up with better analogies, better examples. The more you think about it, the more effort you make, the more you will understand. Also, this is the divine gift. You have to make an effort. Allah will is Al-Fattah. He is the opener. Don't expect to understand these matters by watching TikTok and Instagram. It's not gonna happen. You have to make an effort. You have to open the book. You have to read this. Okay, what is it talking about? Which Quranic verse it is referring? What is that hadith? What does the Prophet ﷺ said about this? You make an effort. Then it comes to you. Allah says, you take one step towards me, I'm gonna come to you running. So you have to exercise your free will. Take a small step, make an effort, then expect to understand. I was talking to this friend. He says, oh, I really don't enjoy doing my prayers. he was a bit on the loose side. And I thought to myself, why people are struggling? Why are people not enjoying? Why are people not excited and motivated? I think it's the absence of effort. You grab the Quran, make an effort, think about it. It's gonna come into your dreams. The more you spend time on it, the more research you conduct, the better you will understand. I I don't want to, go too far away. I am a physicist. I'm a scientist. And I'm also a philosopher, and I'm also a student of Risale-i Nur. I did my PhD on Risale-i Nur, and my research was atheism. I was quite passionate. What are they saying? Does it make sense? But studying Risale-i Nur and studying Quran brought me in a position whereby I'm just thinking, this is plain stupid. Atheism, that is. To me, as a physicist philosopher, people come and ask me sometimes. They say, this flat earth theory. Probably you have heard of it. There are people saying the earth is flat. What do you say? They ask me. And I say, it is so stupid, I'm not gonna waste my breath on it. I point blank refuse to talk about it because I'm gonna read something else. I'm gonna do something else because the claim is that stupid. Earth is flat. This is the claim. Similarly, atheism, I feel exactly the same. I mean, it is so groundless, so stupid. I don't even know where to start. I say, yeah, just go do some research. There are some videos and stuff. Because I don't have this energy to talk to someone and refute their argument, which is as stupid as saying the earth is flat. Why is this happening to me? As a physicist, the earth is not flat. It is a sphere. Fact. Because I have done the research, I've done all the experiments, all the observations, it is round. End of it. I'm not talking about it. And when it comes to atheists, look, mate, I've done all the research. I read Risale-i Nur, I don't know how many times. I have read Quran, I don't know how many times. There is God. End of it. Please, please don't drain my energy because it's so stupid. You come to that position because the more you study, the stronger your faith and your conviction gets. I mean, divine determining, to me, it is blindingly obvious. Allah is outside all dimensions. For him, everything is one. He records and he puts it like an arrival time. You do it not because he put it there. He put it there because you're going to do it. To me, it's 100%. I'm very convinced. But for some viewers, it might be, oh, this guy is so confident. How can? Because I made a lot of effort. I did a lot of research and reading and Q&As with scholarly people. There are scholarly people. I'm not one of them. I am convinced. I say, look, Earth is round. There is God, divine determining, and free will. Full stop. Everyone can come to this by making effort, by making a research. The more you read, the more you research, the more effort you make, the stronger your faith gets. And you just feel sorry for people. This is, oh, if God knows everything and He wrote everything in a book, why am I accountable? I said, man, just go read the 26th word, then come back to me. So, very solid, very convincing, very factual. What about free will? Where does free will sit in this? The fifth one, divine determining has a connection with cause and effect. For something to happen, this is the basic law of physics. We call it causality. Action, reaction, Newton's laws of motion. For every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. For every effect, there must be a cause. So, that is, this effect will occur through this cause. In which case, it may not be said that since so and so's death is determined at such and such time, what fault has the man who fired the rifle through his choice? For if he had not fired, the other still would have died. This is also the third most crucial brief explanation. I know we are nearing the end of the lesson, but if we can focus on this. We are people of Sunnah. We follow the prophetic tradition. We define ourselves Ahl Sunnah, Ahl Sunnah vel Jama'ah, prophetic way. But among Muslim world, especially philosophical world, there are extreme schools. One school is called Mu'tazila. Bang opposite Cebriye. I'm sure you have heard of these. These are not like public schools. These are schools of thoughts. This bit explains beautifully. Mu'tazila, that school of thought, it says, like in the physical world, for every effect there must be cause. For this man to die, someone has to pull the trigger, then he dies. If he doesn't pull the trigger, he doesn't die because they see everything in mechanical way. If this happens, that happens. If this doesn't happen, doesn't happen. Very mechanical. This is Mu'tazila. When this idea became popular, so-called pious Muslims, they said, no, there is no such thing. Allah is powerful over everything. If Allah says he's gonna die, it doesn't matter if someone pulls the trigger. He's gonna die regardless. This is Jabriya. So Mu'tazila is very mechanical. Jabriya takes the causes, says, look, if it is written in the book, it's gonna happen. So, murdering the person. If you pull the trigger, the person dies. If you don't pull the trigger, person doesn't die. That's Mu'tazila. Jabriya says, if you pull the trigger or if you don't pull the trigger, doesn't matter. If Allah wrote it in the book, he's gonna die. Right. Why are these two ideas not sound? Answer, because divine determining qadar specified that so and so's death would occur through man's rifle. If you suppose that he did not fire the rifle, when you are supposing that divine determining had no connection with it. So with what would you decree his death? If you imagine, if you imagine cause and effect to be separate like Jabriya, the second one, or deny divine determining like Mu'tazila, the first group, you will leave Sunni school, that's us, and join the heretics. Firaq dalle, heretics. We Sunnis, we say, we people of truth, we say, if he had not fired the rifle, we do not know if he would have died. Jabriya says, if he had not fired it, he still would have died. And Mu'tazila says, if he had not fired it, he would not have died. You see, within Islamic schools of thought, there is difference. One is cause effect, one is ignoring cause and effect. But us, we don't know. If the person didn't pull the trigger, we don't know. He may have died, he may not have died. Because that is the unknown. I I'm gonna finish because we got 1 minute left. As I said, this is quite fascinating, and the piece is 26 word, only few pages. Very, very impressive, very fascinating. I urge everybody to take a quick look and read the whole thing, only a few pages, in light of our discussion. I'm sure you're gonna pick up extra gems and your faith will get stronger. As I said, you make an effort, Allah sends it to you. You want to understand divine determining and free will, qadar and irade cüzi, you understand. I wrap it up here. This is the end of today's lesson. I hope to see you on the next one next month. It's going to be a different topic. Thanks for joining.